the greatest obstacle to your spiritual growth is not what you do, but who is watching you. If enlightenment means freedom, then why do enlightened kings, sages, or Sri Krishna continue to work? Today's question is, if enlightenment is there, if you are enlightened, why do you have to work? Why do I have to do things if I'm already enlightened? Why am I supposed to work? Because work is for those who want to achieve things, do greatness, fulfill their desires. The other day, in one of the sessions we discussed, there are two types of ways you can work. One, you can work for fulfilling your desires, and the other one, you work to reduce your desires. Then why do enlightened souls work? Today, in these verses, we are continuing chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita, verse 20 to 24. So, we are going to touch what Sri Krishna teaches us. The highest, even the highest souls do not stop acting. The act is for welfare of all. For some who for some who work to fulfill their desire, for some who work to reduce their desire, and the enlightened ones work for the welfare of all. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. In Shlok 20, Shri Krishna is saying, indeed, it was through action alone that Janak, he is taking the name of Raja Janak in this shlok, explicitly naming Raja Janak. Indeed, it was through action alone that Janak and others attained perfection. Having regard also for the maintenance and welfare of the world, you should perform action. So Shri Krishna is saying Raja Janak, who was already enlightened, once he met his guru Ashtavakra, he was a king. King went to this boy and then got enlightened himself. Still, he is working. Even after becoming enlightened, he is working. If you know Dhruv, who was a small child who went to, you know, start chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya because he wanted to meet Lord Vishnu, the later became Dhruvlok, you know. So that child, even after attaining, meeting Vishnu, he went into his family and became king. He had to become the king of his kingdom and then rule everybody because God never say you should stop doing things. Actually, he wants these people who follow dharma, who have compassion, who have love, who have affection for all, equal sharing. He wants them on the higher positions. If God is there, if you have someone responsible in your family and someone who is irresponsible, who would you make the head of the family? The responsible one, right? You won't say, oh, leave everything and go and you chant mantra. You won't say that to the responsible kid. Same is the case here. If God has put, He has let few people realize themselves, He want them to be at places which can be helpful to others, so He can guide others as well. We are not supposed to leave everything and sit and do nothing. Then what's the point? Desireless person, an enlightened man is desireless. They have no wish to do anything. So making them to do things is quite harder. Making them to do things is quite hard. But that's why he is surrounded by people who give them his purpose. So Shri Krishna is actually clearing this common misunderstanding that everybody has. Perfection is not achieved by avoiding action, but through right action. We're not supposed to avoid action, avoid karma. We are supposed to do right action. Even realized beings continue acting not because they need something. Even the realized beings continue acting, continue doing karma not because they need something, but because the world benefits from their action. They are doing now selfless deeds, not for themselves, but for everyone. And here he gave the example of King Janak. King Janak, one of the greatest examples of Karma Yoga. We are currently in Karma Yoga, where it is explained that even in family life, even in your day to day activities, your office, your home, wherever you are, you can be Karma Yogi, you can do selfless deeds without any desire. If you're doing any action, you are a Karma Yogi by default. If you are washing dishes, if you're getting a glass of water for someone, if you're filing your Friday evening report, or if you are doing a presentation in front of your boss, any of these actions can be part of your spiritual upliftment. They can make you higher if you have no attachment, no desires linked to those actions. I am doing my dharma as an employee for my boss, for my company, doing this presentation. It is my best, it is my duty to do the best of my abilities. No desire, I don't wish for things in return. If I get praise, that is great. If I don't get praise, that is also great. I'm just doing my job. A mother never gets praised for doing her job. Do you know? It's the most thankless job in this world, being a mother. They don't get paid. They don't get appreciated. They don't get paid. They don't get value. Nobody respect them. For the people she is dying for, they also don't respect them. So very uh, biggest selfless job, you could say. So here, so King Janak example is one of the biggest example of Karma Yoga. He ruled a kingdom while remaining inwardly detached. He's in biggest, one of the biggest kingdom. He has all the jewelries, all the gold, all land, everything that everybody is dying for. We all are dying for gold, jewelry, money, luxury, right? He already has it. But inside, he's detached. Unlike many seekers who believe spirituality requires renunciation of worldly duties, Janak demonstrated that one can remain fully engaged in life and yet remain free within. You also can do it. You can also be in this life and remain detached. But it's hard because we are weak. It is hard because we are weak. We get emotionally attached, we get lured, we get attracted towards, the universe. If someone comes and, start praising, you will immediately fall down. That is why sometimes separation is required, but only for some time until you become strong, you know. If you've never lived if you never lived without AC and suddenly you say, I am detached, to luxury. That's not possible. If I put you in a hot sun, you won't be able to survive it because you never even tried. It doesn't mean you have to leave it, but you have to experience it also. 21st slok, Shri Krishna says, whatever an exemplary person does, others also do. Whatever standards he established, the world follows. The another reason why enlightened souls work, do action, they don't quit things. See, if Shri Krishna doesn't do work, he said in previous shloks as well that if I don't do this, Arjun, so many people follow me. So many people follow what I do. If I don't do it, then they will also don't do it. So this is one of the another reason. First reason was they do it not just for themselves, they do it for the welfare of the society. The second reason why enlightened souls work or do karma is because they want to create a standard, because the world will follow them. You get attracted to these people's aura, you know what they do, so you also wish to follow them. They become example, lead by example. People learn more from your life than from your words. That's why it's called acharan. Acharan is your way of living. So people learn more from seeing than from hearing because you're not present when hearing, but you're always present most of the times when you're seeing someone. That's why physically meeting, like for example, you're sitting with me right now, you are listening to me or no, I don't know. But if you're sitting in front of me physically, then you are in my aura, you are definitely seeing me and you're observing more things you're observing from here that you don't listen. So people learn more from your life than from your words. Leadership is not a position, it's an influence. So here, spiritual leaders, spiritual enlightened leaders, they also do action, do karma, so that the world also follow them. They naturally follow them. For example, parents tell children, don't spend all day on your phone. But parents themselves are doing it. Recently, I put a post on the Divya Sakshi Mark where how to put spirituality in your children. There is no right way of doing this. Children are your mirror image. They follow what they're seeing. You keep telling them, beta, don't do this, beta, this is not a good habit, beta, abusing is wrong. But if they see father abusing or mother abusing, your words mean nothing. They are false. If you say, beta, shouting is really bad, you should not shout at people, and mother is shouting all the time, so they won't care. They won't listen to your words. They mean nothing. It's always by actions. That's why teaching, moving away from teaching to preaching, we all must do that. Teaching is you are just telling people what to do, what is right, what is wrong. But preaching is you actually follow. You follow what you teach. If you don't follow something, stop teaching to people. There's no point. If I tell you something that I cannot follow, actually my consciousness won't let me. It won't let me tell you. Now there was this. Let me tell you a story of this seeker. He went to saint and he said, teach me Vedas." So the saint started talking few things he knows. He said, life is like this, world is this, you are Atma, so and so small things he said, four things. And he kept repeating it every day. He kept repeating those things every day. So the sadhak who came there and he was like, why cannot you tell me something different? Why are you saying the same things every day? Vedas say this, Vedas say that, Vedas say this. So the saints say, I know what Vedas say, but I've only experienced these five things. If I've only experienced these five things, I can only teach those five things. The rest, I don't know myself. I cannot tell you. So, practical example is it's not just an enlightened soul, even for your children, they follow exactly what you do. That's why if small thing your children are following their parents, then all these people they follow what enlightened soul do. Even today, a new saint comes and you start comparing him or her with the previous one. You know, any old saint you start comparing. Oh, Raman Maharishi was like this. Oh, J. Krishnamurti was like this. Oh, Buddha was like this. Oh, Muhammad was like this. So Why do you compare? That is a wrong spirituality. We don't have to go into that right now. But why we compare? We compare because we think spiritual leaders as someone we can follow. So that is second reason why enlightened soul do actions. Moving on, O Parth, there is nothing whatsoever in these three worlds that ought to be done by me. See, now Sri Krishna is saying about himself. He's saying, Oh Parth, there is nothing whatsoever in these three worlds that ought to be done by me. Things can be done automatically. There's nothing I have to do myself. There is nothing unattained that should be attained. Yet I remain engaged in action. Bhagwan Krishna is saying, this is for all the people who are very lazy and they don't want to work. I know people who say 30 years, 40 years, we will earn money and then we will just spend those money for the rest of your life. What do you mean spend that money for the rest of your life? What will you do after that? I'm not saying you work in an IT job or a finance job for the rest of your life, but action should never stop. You should always keep doing things, either for yourself, for your family, for others, because this body is a machine. Machine needs work, oiling. If you know who gets sick, people who get sick are the ones who sit in comfortable rooms, chair, bed, air cons, AC, comfortable cars, from the house, in the car to mall, mall to office, office to this. These are the people who are getting cancer, diabetes. These are the people getting. Why? And yet, a road worker, a laborer, is not getting these concerns because this body, we have not used it. Too much comfort makes it, yes, inaction is death. Very good, Arastuji. You are slowly killing this. Lying on bed all day, scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. This is not helping anyone. Your mind is consumed. Lying all day and still you won't be able to sleep at night. Imagine. No work done, still no sleep. So Bhagwan Krishna himself is saying there is no need for me to attain anything. All is already attained. I am already enlightened. There is nothing to be done by me also. Without me, this universe will also work. Yet I remain in action. Yet I'm working. I'm doing karma. I have nothing to gain. No wealth, no fame, no achievement. Nothing is lacking. Yet action continues. In this Kurukshetra war, what is Sri Krishna getting? Is he getting any land? Is he getting any money? What do you think he's getting? What is his, in the in this Kali times, people ask like, what is my advantage? Why I should help you? What will I get? This is the first thing everybody asks. If you seek for someone's help or like advice, they say, I will help, but what will I get in return? But here, Bhagwan Krishna is getting nothing. He's a selfless Nishkan karma he's doing. Same is the case of Gautam Buddha. So after enlightenment, see, 6 years he did nothing. 6 years he did nothing. He sat and he just washed his breath. Gautam Buddha attained enlightenment and he could have remained silent. He could have said nothing. He achieved it. He doesn't have to say anything. Instead, he spent decades teaching. He kept walking, going to different places, going from one place to another, one place to another, then to another, then to another, meeting new people, teaching. Not because he needed flowers, not because he wanted followers, not because he wanted to create a new dharma. He didn't even know a new dharma will be created after he dies, after his body passes away. Nobody had any idea. He didn't know. He never wanted recognition. He said, Buddha said, never create my murti. Do you know this? Never create, not even one idol should be of mine. I don't want people to know my face. I don't want people to know anything. And do you know which is the most created idol in the world? It's Buddha. He is the most carved face everywhere. No religion has left it. Tibet. You go to Tibet, you go to Nepal, you go to China, you go to India, you go any country, US, wherever you go, his idol is there. How is that possible? It's the power of no desires. He wanted nothing, no recognition. Yet, what he did, he kept working. He didn't stop. For we going to next slok. For if I were not to engage diligently in karma, O Parth, people would in way, every way will follow my path. So Shri Krishna is saying, if I also don't work, I don't need to work. Everything is already planned. Everything is happening as it is. If I don't work, it's totally fine. But if I don't engage in karma, Parth, Arjun, people will also start following that. Whether we like it or not, people imitate examples. You imitate your idols. Now, coming to the last slok of today, these worlds would perish if I do not perform action. So, Bhagwan Krishna is saying, these worlds would perish if I do not perform action. I would become the cause of disorder and would destroy these beings. Duty is not merely personal, duty protects order. When people abandon their responsibility, society begins to break down. We are not supposed to abandon our responsibilities. A weak person, weak through how? Weak through mind. They think they cannot take responsibility. If you see the difference between people, I make this post. It's haven't gone live yet. One person is cannot take care of themselves. I'm talking about the same world. Yeah. In same world, one person cannot take care of themselves. One person can take care of two people. One person can take care of whole family. One person can take care of family plus society. One person can take care of lakhs of people. What's the difference? There is one person who cannot even take care of themselves, forgets their own clothes, forget their own toothbrush, forgets their own, have they even bathed or not. And then there's another person who's taking care of not only himself, but few hundred people as well. What is the difference? How is that possible? Same body, same everything. How can one person do not even small things for themselves? And here they're doing for themselves, for society, for the world, for everybody else. What's the difference? This is why we should never stop doing karma. If if we abandon our responsibilities, this person cannot even take responsibility of themselves. You see, one person is not able to take responsibility of themselves. And this person can take responsibility of hundreds of people. Such a huge gap. You also have to come from here to here, wherever you are. You can take care of yourself, your family members. Maybe if you're female of the house, you can take care of 4 or 5 people. You have bigger strength. Females have more strength and multitasking powers. So that's given by, the nature of the mind. Then s- come to a place, a saint, a spiritual leader, take care of everyone, hundreds of people, because they have nothing here. No me, no mine. For them, everybody is one. So when Shri Krishna says, when people abandon their responsibilities, society begins to break down. You're not supposed to leave your responsibilities. If you think you will leave your family members, your children, and go and become a saint in some yogi, who will take care of your children? Unless you have all the money given to them for the next 18, 20 years, they have enough money in their life. So it's very, you cannot abandon your responsibility. Then once you finish this life in yogi, next life you'll have to come and finish that karma, which you abandoned your children. Unless you attain enlightenment and you realize, and then everything else changes. The path is not hard. Try to understand. There is no path, there is no enlightenment. The problem is you just don't want to let go. You don't want to let go of your ego. That is the problem. So there's a small story in this of an ancient ideal king. Ancient kings were taught the kingdom does not fall because of external enemies. It falls when the ruler neglects dharma. So a king's negligence affects millions. So if one king is not following dharma and is not following the right actions, then that is why the kingdom is going to fail. Not because there's some enemies going to come and conquer you. Same is the case in each person, each one of us. When we neglect our dharma, that is where our fall is. It starts with dharma, arth, kam, moksha. The base is dharma. Only that. Even if you do your right karma, you know what is right, you know what is wrong. Even with that, you can start.